Hello everybody, it's just Aim519 here, and you would know that already if you looked outside your window. And today, me and my boy, Matt, are going to be having a little podcast-like talk about gachas. Now, you might be wondering, what the hell are you guys going to be talking about? How bad you got shafted? Potentially, if the discussion takes that course. The music is Go Happy in the background, but trust me, our topics might not be. We're gonna be discussing about gacha and a few topics that we've written down beforehand. We're going to start off with concepts for new gachas, for example, that's going to derive into gameplay, characters, and summoning. Next up is going to be us talking about story. It will be a little calming down moment, since it won't be as, number-based and fact-based and more opinionated. Next up, we're going to start talking about stuff like multiplayer, co-op, PvP, finishing it off with metas and our thoughts on the free-to-play unit system. Then we're going to give our personal experiences, what made or broke certain gachas for me, and then we're going to end it off with one of the most important topics for gachas, according at least for players and financially if they want to be like Pokemon Masters, devs and how the gacha launches impact the actual game, which is going to might not have the conclusion a lot of y'all are hoping for, but we're just going to speak out of our experience. First off, we're going to start talking about concepts. Now, you can take gachas in multiple different routes, but the two main ones is you base a gacha off of an IP that already exists, like Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, I don't know, other stuff like maybe Bakugan, whatever you want to end up going for, Yu-Gi-Oh, you name it, they have it. Or you can do it off an original IP like Dragalia Lost, World Flipper, Grand Blue,
Epic 7 is another good one.
Epic 7, a bunch of other ones where they go off of unique IP, where they create their own IPs and they go off of that. And then, of course, you have the weird third middle child where you can have your own interjected universe, which is the case with Cygames, with Dragalia, Princess Connect, World Flipper, Grand Blue, they all kind of interact with each other one way, shape, or form.
Right, yeah, it's all pretty much just them shaking their own hand. Which
Which is quite nice indeed, though it does make me confused because I feel like all the characters that I always see are like from the one side game I probably don't play, Grand Blue, because they always have to appear from Portal, so I feel like I'm missing out on the source material, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I think.
Grand Blue and Shadowverse are two of their more popular collab materials.
Shadowverse?
Yeah, Shadowverse.
I've never heard of that one, but we'll get into that then. So yeah, for these two concepts, which one do you actually prefer? Which concept of Road has a better track record with you?
So far, actually, the unique IP, but they're very, very hard to get off the ground if it's not a well-known company or if it's a newer company.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like a bunch of Netmarble games fall under this as well, because you have games like Knights Chronicle that are under them, and it's like, oh well, what's that? Well, the company it's like have the best track record, so you won't look into their other IPs. Most people know Netmarble for Grand Cross, which is 7 Deadly Sins.
True.
And people know what that is.
I actually have my phone open to make sure that I can just skim through my gachas, just so that I kind of know what the hell I'm looking at.
Yeah. But yeah, I personally like the worlds of unique IPs more. Like Epic 7, I played for a while. That was a lot of fun. But my issue with that game is an issue we'll get into later. Dragalia, Grand Blue, I just love those worlds and what they try to build. But story, world building, that's like another topic for later or another day or whatnot. But I just have a better track record with the unique IPs, because all of these bigger IP games mostly tend to just fall off. Slime. Anyway.
I'm not throwing any shade here. It's mostly because I haven't played it, but if I did, I would probably be agreeing. So those are like the two concepts. For me personally, I don't know. Like, the thing is that, like, with unique IPs, I have rarely played any unique IPs that I didn't end up liking. Now, I got bored of some, like Princess Connect, I ended up getting bored of, but I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy my time, you know, and I never dropped it for, like, a reason that the game was bad. I just ended up finding the grinding aspect of it quite boring, because it was just kind of spamming skip tickets every day until you got a new unit or new story released, and then you beat each stage once, and then it was a few more weeks of autoing PvP and spamming skip tickets, and if you didn't have skip tickets, well, I was too lazy to actually then do the stages onwards. Because you're used to skipping. Which was my main issue with it, you know, it kind of needs to drive me. But for example, the thing is that, like, some of my favorite gachas, I have more, if I look at my favorite gachas list, there is more, you know, already existing IPs in there than original IPs. But the average quality of original IPs, from my experience, has just always been so much better. But also, we gotta bat an eye out at all those whack mobile ad commercials of gachas with original IPs that never work out, and we stop seeing commercials after like 2 to 3 months because no one plays them.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of that. It's a mixed bowl. I think we can both agree that it's more like the studio behind it rather than whatever IP they run with.
Exactly. It mostly falls onto the studio, how well the job that they could do with it. It could be something that they don't have the best writers, so they just go with the original IPs and just copy paste whatever concepts and story that are in the original series. Like, that is a very good base round to go off of if you're newer. But the issue would be getting
of course,
a holder and just
we also have to talk about the stakeholders, because we have seen times and times where, let's say for example the Call of Duty franchise, which is completely off topic but the best example I can make, developers and studios are one thing, but at the end of the day with Call of Duty, Activision can make big calls that kind of just ruin the games, or just straight up do not give developers enough time to actually play the game. Like we have seen with the more recent Treyarch Call of Duties, they took a portion of their workforce to help with the other studios with their Call of Duties, which really tanked Treyarch's costs because they didn't have their full manpower behind them to, you know, work on each part. And obviously, as you can see, stakeholders and IP holders, especially when you're not doing your own original IP, can and will have a big impact. Or, like with Masters, it's a good thing because they fired the original dev. But nonetheless,
yeah, pretty much. Now, I don't know if it was firing, but they definitely just replaced the original dev team.
As somebody who has
doing
seen
better, but it's a smaller dev team, and that's my issue.
Just quickly taking a sip, stay hydrated, kids.
Yep. Hey, me too.
As Matt's taking a sip as well, I think we can move over to the next topic. Now, next topic is about gameplay. Now, we can put this into little sub-parts, but I think, and I especially think Matt has been putting a lot of thought into this lately, we're going to start off with gameplay styles. After that, we're going to move over to friendliness towards new players, and then we're going to either start off with with team building, or with equipment, but I think we kind of interchange them because they do have an impact on each other. So Matt, what are your thoughts on gameplay on the gachas?
So, for me, it needs to be specific, and like certain aspects of it need to appeal to me. Like, I'm mostly a fan of action-based games. Like, I used to love turn-based games, but I just kind of lost my enjoyment.
And then you stopped playing Dokkan, right? Yeah.
No, but Epic 7 was another really fun one that I played. Like, despite it being turn-based, it just felt so fun because all of the character models were just gorgeous. All the animations were just beautiful. Anime cutscenes in the stories, it was a very beautiful game, and it didn't feel like a turn-based game to me. But other than that, I tried Grand Cross when that came out. Didn't like it. And despite Legends being action-based, I didn't really like that either, because they have their own problems, but that's a different story.
Indeed, they do have.
Right, I just feel like that action-based encourages more skill than turn-based.
Interesting mindset on that.
For the most part. There are exceptions, but I feel like that is the general rule, that if you're action-based, it encourages more strategy, more skill overall if the servers don't fuck you up.
Yeah, I personally entirely disagree with the statement. I think it more has to do with reaction time, which in turn-based you can also do. Like, for example, in Pokemon Masters, sure, it's technically turn-based, but if you just stand there doing nothing, you're still gonna get your ass beat. So
Right.
I think it has more to do with
consider that
reaction
more
time.
action-based because it's AP. But it just happens to become turn-based where it's, okay, my turn, my turn, my turn.
Yeah, sorry, I posted one of those Twitter things like, which color do you think of me? And somebody just responded with, well, if somebody threatens you, it would be sky blue. And sky blue is like, I would kill people for you. And I'm like, well, calm down. Yeah, but yeah, I can definitely see that. For me, I actually have quite the opposite opinion of that. I do think action-based is nice, but I don't want it to be too action-based. My opinion has always been the same. At the end of the day, the gachas that I play are mobile games, and it's very rarely that I see games be proper gachas on console. Now, we have, or PC, now we have at Genshin, which I will not be giving my opinion on Genshin, because that's I have seen what the player base is like. It's like a very loud majority of the player base, or minority, I don't care, is people who have never ever played other gacha games, so they have no standards for it, which is completely fine by me, but I will never go into discussion about the quality of the game with them because they have no other reference points.
The worms stay in the can today.
Yeah, the worms stay in the can today, and if you don't want the worms to stay in the can, then you can scroll down a lot on my Twitter, which will be in the description down below, by the way. But for me, always the same thing has been, if I play a gacha on my mobile phone, I'm trying to play a mobile game. I'm not trying to play a game that requires console or PC game level, brain thinking. I don't want to need to do the same reaction time that I need on like Call of Duty while quick scoping, or Doom Eternal on super hard difficulty, or like I don't know, like playing Stardew Valley speedrun with one hand. I don't want that type of concentration. I just want to relax and enjoy my time. For example, Dokkan, I can at any point, except for during like a Dokkan attack, just turn my phone off. Even during stuff like Clash Battle and all that, and World Tournament, I can just press off on my phone and I'm fine. With other games like Legends, for example, PvP, it's a little bit less, but once again, I just want to be able to relax, it's fine, it's good. Dragalia is Dragalia's over the edge. I just enjoy Dragalia, that's fine, but I have noticed when a game is like as intensive gameplay wise as like Dragalia, that I get burnouts, and I started skipping the burnouts, and now I'm in a huge one for like months, but I come back for waifus though, but and husbandos.
Yeah. See, I understand that mindset, but
Gala Jupiter.
I understand that mindset entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the point of a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I speak as someone who's like most of the time not home, and I haven't touched my PS4 in literally over 5 years. My PC, I don't have time to play games on because I'm editing, I'm at work, and I'm getting a second job now to try and make my move out. So I'm not always home. So whenever I do enjoy a game, I enjoy those more in-depth games, and the only thing I can play them on is my phone.
That's definitely
so
interesting way
I
to
speak
look
as
at it.
someone from that mindset.
Yeah, nice.
Because
that's completely
what I
understandable then. Yeah, I fully get that then at that point. Once again, what I'm looking for, what you're looking for, are like completely different things. But I think we're both can be happy that both sides of that need games for it. We need games like Dragalia that like, kind of find the edge of like how active a game should be for mobile, and we need games like Dokkan where I can just turn my phone off and yeet it to the side midway through anything, and I'll be fine when I turn it back on.
Right. But then the question, but then this is why I asked the question that I asked on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
What's the middle ground? How do you appease people like me? How do you appease people like you? What's the middle ground here?
Yeah, let's put this a little sub question. See, I was thinking about that as well. And I think it's quite easy to find the middle ground, but it might be cheesy because you would not put it in the core gameplay. Instead, you could put it in stuff like how Legends does it, where you rather put it between game modes. The single player game modes in Legends, I can just turn my phone off and yeet it away no matter what. Hell, even during Rising Rushes, I can do it. On the other hand, when I play co-op or when I play PvP, I cannot. So I think it will be kind of a mix of that. I do not think that doing what Dokkan Battle did with the original Battlefield, where they made an entire different gameplay type, I don't think it will work in that context unless you started off with an action-packed game and then put a little turn-based thing on the side for a unique game mode with unique rewards. But if you start off with a game like Dokkan and start implementing something like Legends in it, where you are like Legends like co-op based, where you cannot pause or anything, I think that would be... Yeah, I think it would work now because Dokkan is as old as it is, you know, and the players at this point should be prepared for anything. But I think it will be a more difficult hurdle to overcome.
Right, yeah, and I think I do agree with that. That is that you start with the simpler formula where it's okay, you can do whatever you want, but then for the people like me, you have the more challenging and in-depth game modes.
Exactly. See, yeah.
So I feel like that isn't really a middle ground. I feel like the basis is more you, because that's the majority of mobile gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like instead of us trying to find a middle ground for all players, or like the devs, I think it would be more fun to split the gameplay into sections of difficulty, so that everybody can kind of have something to do. Now the issue then becomes, and that's an issue that Regalia is right now walking into with players. Sure, you can split that off, but how do you make the players that are not grinding the super new, extremely difficult content, how do you still make them feel validated playing the game?
Yeah, exactly, and that is another issue.
Yeah.
Now to that I say, just don't make it exactly farm worthy. Just make like challenge stages, for example.
I think, and this is going to be specific in the context of Dragalia, I think the core issue, and this is what a lot of gachas fall into, Dragalia's whole thing is that the only proper new content that they bring out is new difficulty stages, and every once in a while new game mode, because let's be honest here, by its core, story events are the same fucking 3 types of events over and over and over and over again. And when people stop caring about the story, it's literally just becomes bothersome how similar everything is. Now then we get stuff from time to time like Time Attack, and no, we will not be talking about Battle Royale at this point in the video, if at all. I'll save that for later. We'll save that for launches. You know, the issue with it is that Dragalia, it's not innovating enough with gameplay. Now, I'm not saying bring out something new every single 2 months or something like that. That's insane. But you should try to cover all bases for players. You should try to cover... you should have, like, multiple game modes that aren't all catered towards either... Day 1, Day 3 players can beat it except for like the final stage, or fully catered towards players who've been playing for a while. But you should have a bit of everything. For example, let me once again pull up, is Dokkan a good option for it, or is Legends a better option for it? Actually, let me check my phone real quick. What would be the better option for it? Dokkan, Legends, World Flipper, Dragalia, My Hero, oh god, no. Rockman, no. Yeah, sorry, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, so they're actually doing that pretty much with the Kaleidoscape. Your in-game progress is not tied to it at all. Everyone can benefit from it, and it's something that you can do with literally every unit in the game for a reward.
Yeah, I agree, but like for example in Dokkan, what you end up having is you have modes like Clash, which is very much catered towards players, a more recent type players usually, and people might be saying, "Hey man, you're crazy." No, it's not. And I'm like, well, new players usually will have a lot to summon for, so they will get the new units, a couple free-to-play units in there as well, so they'll be able to do something. Probably not enough though, by no way. But then you have Battlefield, which is like purely for people who have been playing for a while. Even if you're if Jay Fanta with a fully free-to-play units only box to the point where he Baba's units if they stop becoming free-to-play, is able to beat some Battlefields from time to time, then anyone should be able to if you were to put the effort in. Now you have people who want to put less effort in. Well, I mean, you know, you can try the Easy A's. Easy A's are relatively easy nowadays, you know, especially. You have Infinite Dragon Ball History, you have Legendary Goku events, you have Battle Road and Super Battle Road, 2 difficulty branches. Basically what I'm trying to say is make multiple different gameplay modes in a gacha and make them have consistent new rewards or new things to do in it so that everybody of any difficulty stage has at least something to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of new players, though, I think we'll write that right into our next subtopic. New player accessibility. Now, my view on this is just a simple way. First of all, allow people to reroll. Hold on, let me just pull my face cam up a little bit because it's kind of annoying how low it is. Let me not make it like diagonal, please. Thank you. It's kind of annoying how some gachas are extremely against rerolling. You know, every gacha, in my opinion, should have a reroll button. Just very easy, very simple. And if you think, well, that's broken, then you're doing something wrong in the core of your gacha that rerolling actually breaks the game. Completely honest. Don't be like Genshin where you ban people for it. Don't be like other gachas where you have to fully delete your entire save. Like for example, in Pitter Patter Pop, which is a game that's shut down by the way, but nonetheless, when you start up the game, you're guaranteed to get one of the 5 JoJos, potentially 6 if it wouldn't have died. And you basically just had a button that you could keep pressing to switch to another JoJo. Just keep rerolling, keep rerolling. Which is nice, but you also of course have gachas where you can just trade, like Dragalia, you know, where if you log in, do you still get like a fuck ton of like free multis to start off with?
In Dragalia, yeah.
Yeah, and you can like re-roll the multis. Is that still a thing for new players?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard anybody mention it anymore since Anniversary when it got introduced. I had to make sure. But in Dragalia, you start up, you have a banner with a bunch of limited units that are still meta to this day, especially if you manage to, you know, spiral them, which should have probably mentioned. The new spiral system in Dragalia is how you not want to do new game modes, but we'll get back to that in a second. But that, and you can just do multiple multis, and after all your multis are done, you get to decide, do I want to redo all my multis or do I want to keep what I currently have? That's probably the best reroll system I have seen. Easily. Yeah. Now, the only other better reroll system I could think of is if you allow them to instead do like, you know, they get into the game, they're able to do a few multis on the current banner, and then they can just delete their save file. Just the ability to delete your current record. That's, I think, to the point where you only would probably have to install like the updates of today, and that's it. Like, I think that would also be a very fun way, purely because sure, the Dragalia method is good, but there's 2 issues with it. One, if they don't update the banner frequently enough to the point that it does become outdated. 2, not all gacha devs are extremely generous when it comes to those types of banners, so they might just put outdated units on it. So right, yeah. For consistency's sake across all gachas, I would preferably put it that you can just delete your save, honestly. Or you can like link it to something and just grab another one, and if you then link that one to something, then the original disappears, but once again, safety checks and all that. What are your thoughts on being new player friendly?
Right, yeah, rerolling I feel like is a big one, and that's something, and I'm probably gonna get guns pointed at me for this one, but Nexon actually did that with Konosuba and Blue Archive, of where they added where they added a delete account button, whereas the original version didn't have that. So that's where I give Nexon credit where it's due. Like, they actually added a delete account button for rerollers. So they know that type of audience, which I do appreciate. Epic 7 also. Epic 7 and I forget what the game's called. Oh, Revived Witch. They had something of where you do a multi. Okay, do you want this? No? Go again for 100 multis. But then after that, there is a delete account button in the game. So after 100 multis, if you don't get what you want, you can delete your account and go through the tutorial again.
And I assume you mean you can re-roll the same multi 100 times, is what you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Which I still think it's dumb. You shouldn't have to put a limit on there, but honestly, that's still very, very generous, very, very nice.
Right, yeah.
Of course. Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Of course, you're also gonna have to. We're also gonna have to talk about like when you start out as a new player. God, we're already 25 minutes in. When you start out as a new player, you're gonna have to keep in mind that the gameplay that new players have to get into. Obviously, what a lot of gachas like to do is they like to give the players the story mode, which we'll get into later. But like the story mode that you can like kind of grind out with at like level 1 units and level 10 units or some shit like that. And then you can like beat it to get a bunch of summon currency and a summon and and it's like that's nice and all, but you also need to guide new players in a way that actually gets them involved in the game. A lot of gachas do this really weird thing where they kind of force you to go through main story, and that's all the guiding that they'll give you. Like Dokkan, for example, does a really bad job at that. However, version Z is apparently fixing it, which is really cool, but the way Dokkan is doing it right now, or used to do, is just really, really bad. But for example, if I go to this Gaia RPG, no problem.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that game.
In that, which I stopped playing by the way, but nonetheless, in that, while you go through story, they actually integrate the standard training areas and events into the story somewhat, so you actually get a reason to go check it out and understand what you can get from there. Because if there's one thing that confuses, especially people new to gacha, but also people new to like maybe their second or their third gacha, is the UI and the events tab and all that confuses the hell out of them. So like that, and I think that keeping outside of rerolling, paying attention to new players' playability. I hate to say it, but it's not that necessary, Like, it's nice to have, but if they don't have it, it's fine. You can still succeed easily. You might have to do some more work, like for example, team building. There's no gacha out there that properly explains team building to you to a meta sense, and I don't blame them for it because it's really opinionated. But like, I don't think there's a single gacha out there that explains to you properly enough how to properly set up a team. For example, in World Flipper, I get told that you can make a team of the same elements and look at leader skills, but you have like power flip teams. How do you focus your damage? Do you focus them on power flips? Do you focus them on every time or do you focus all your power into the skills you use? So how do you want to get damage across? That's something you have to learn from the community, which once again is fine because 99.9% of the time people play gachas, they get involved with a community who can actually explain stuff to them, so that's fine.
Right. Yeah. And on that note, devs don't include how to build teams because things change. Metas change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a set in stone thing. There are exceptions. Things change, content changes where you need to build for specific things. Like, things just aren't universally the same.
Mm-hmm.
From game mode to game mode, boss to boss, depending on the game. But yeah, I feel like that's their easy way out of where it's like, okay, we have this system, go crazy with it.
Yeah, though I do think beginner guides or like auto team building can I feel like the accepted quality of the auto team build button in gachas is way too low. I do feel like there could be a much higher standard to it. Because as of right now, it's literally just put high stats together or some shit. Like, if Dokkan got an auto team builder, I wouldn't even be shocked if they didn't really care too much about leader skills or what's optimal, but we'll see about
skills
that.
Categories, yeah.
Yeah. Now, next up, we also have the topic of grinding materials and equipment as a whole.
Okay,
now
this is my forte.
Yeah, but for grinding materials, before we get into equipment, for grinding materials, I would like to say, make it interesting and active. Don't make it just farm the same stage over and over and over again with skippable tickets. Skippable content and being able to skip through content is useful and it's nice, but don't make everything extremely reliant on it. I think Legends does a really good job at this by making you able to skip through stuff, but it keeps bringing out new content that you have to manually beat first. They recently brought out a new like gauntlet-like mode where you can just kind of auto fast fight, which is not even normal gameplay. It's just your characters and their characters bouncing against each other and, you know, taking their stats and whichever would win stats wise, you know, and then you move on to the next place. Or like the Tournament of Power arena thingy, tournament mode, which I think that's really good ways of doing that, of autoing stuff and like being able to skip like, you know, the grindy stage, like the XP, the soul stages, you know, story stages for drops. I feel like that's great, but they also enforce you to actually play the stages, make sure you beat all the challenges on it before you can skip it. And bring out new content frequent. I know Legends and new content, haha, funny, I know, but they bring out new stuff frequently enough to the point that I actually find myself properly playing the game from time, or at least putting it on normal auto, which is still better because normal auto still makes you have to interact, rather than like Dragalia, right? Like normal auto style makes you have to interact and build teams around it, rather than just doing like 7 runs, beating challenges, or probably you can beat most of them in like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 runs, and then just never looking back on the stages.
Yeah, exactly.
Now for equipment, I'll hand it over to Matt because I know he has an opinion on that.
Right, yeah. So I just have one more opinion on the whole auto skipping thing. Like, I like how Grand Blue does skipping as well when it comes to challenge farming stages like Nightmare Plus, and I forget what the last one is called, but there's 3 of where you need to fill conditions, where you need to fill certain conditions, and you need to do that 3 times for that difficulty before the game says, okay, you know what you're doing, just take the rewards and continue farming.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that system a lot.
Yeah, and I also think the fact that the hard difficulty stages like Agitos and stuff not being autoable really help. Now, one thing I need to state, auto as a concept, I think should be in most gachas. If not all gachas. I think all gachas need to have an auto mode. Every single one of them. However, I also think that it should actually be worth the damage. So for example, the balance between skipping and auto is that you don't want to make your super hard difficulty stuff like Dragalias would be Agitos skippable, and because like if you make those skippable, then well, what would I even play the game for? The same thing that I have a Princess Connect issue with, especially on global on launch. And they told me there's a new game mode. There's like a new game mode or 2 that you cannot like skip. But like most of the grinding in Princess Connect was just skip tickets. Even the events were beat at once.
And it's not a battler.
And even then, even the events, you beat the event once and skip ticketing. And you had like 1 game where you had to auto it. But in Dragalia, for example, it's hell. They even have a thingy where you can do all your daily rewards with 1 button and skip all of it. But the more difficult stuff like Agitos and Dominion and legendary difficulty stuff cannot, and you know the challenge gauntlet stage cannot be skipped. However, they can be autoed, which I think all content in gacha should be autoable. Purely because your difficult content should be autoable, because if you can auto a stage, that means you as a player have done enough research and put enough investment into your units to build a team that can auto that stage, right? And elements, and obviously element systems or categories for Dokkan, because Dokkan took it even 1 step further than elemental systems and actually put categories in as well. Those can make it so that it's not just cheese, you know, so you can make a stage for each type, or in Dokkan for each type a stage on Super and Extreme Spectrum. You can make categories of units like I don't know, in Dragalia, for example, you can make paladins like a group of people, like people tagged to the Alien Church who work for the Alien Church at some point. You can have people of the royal lineage. Now, how the fuck that works with Yuden, I don't know how they're gonna do that. People will whine no matter which side they pick on that. But like, yeah, exactly. Obviously, and honestly, that tag should stay away until we get more of the princes and princesses as units. But nonetheless,
right. Yeah,
but
I will tell you this right now. Grand Blue has that type of system of where people are labeled by what race they are, and when it comes to grids, weapons boost said tags stats, and also weapons have their own tags as well. For example, you have Omega class weapons, you have EX class weapons, you have weapons that are from Tiamat, for example, from the Primal Beasts. You have Bahamut weapons. You have what's known as Dark Opus weapons, where you beat the shit out of Lucilius. Now they have like Super Bahamut, where you can uncap those even further. Like Grand Blue takes that category concept and Dragalia's team building system, combines them and takes it up like 3 notches. Like, it is super in-depth with the grids. Like, if I were to show you the wiki page for the grids, I'd be scrolling for like a good 2 minutes.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, of course. But yeah, so that's the thing when at the end of the day, skipping and autoing should be a thing in all games. Auto repeat is give and take. I can see games where you can make the case for auto repeat isn't the thing. I can see games where they can say auto repeat should be a thing. Like in Dragalia, I get why auto repeat is a thing and it's needed, but like in a game without a crafting system, like Dokkan, I can kind of see why auto repeat is not a function, because if you start like auto repeat is a great quality of life choice, but it is a double-edged sword, because auto repeat can also make a lot of players so lazy that they start getting bored of the game.
Yeah, but even then, you also need a good stamina system, or at least a lot of stamina replenishing items.
Okay.
Grand Cross has their pots.
I'm going to move the topic of stamina to between gameplay and characters, because I feel like we can have quite the little talk about that.
Okay, so back to the equipment thing.
Yeah, go off on equipment.
Okay, so equipment, gear, weapons in general, I like it. It gives me reasons to crunch numbers and think of sets. But you need to do it correctly. I talked about my issue with that X7. I would get to it later. Here it is. Fuck the gear. Oh my god. That game would be such a beautiful game if the gear was actually tolerable.
I thought at some
Like,
point you and Mike
I absolutely hate how most games do their gear systems when you have the substats that aren't rerollable, selectable, main stats, anything like that. Sets, just, I'm not saying make it easy, but I'm saying make it a show of effort instead of pure RNG. That's literally all I want. Grand Cross does this fine. I don't know how accessible hammers and anvils are, because I stopped playing that game a long time ago.
They have gotten way more accessible, but it's like it's fine now. Though I still I agree with you that even though the reroll system might be fine on it, I do agree that like rerolling for substats is, in my opinion, not a good mechanic. And sure, you can work around it, but I still think it's kind of whack.
See, I still want it to be pure RNG. Like, that is the only thing. Oh, because you can have a great piece of gear. All of the stat increases go into the one thing that was HP, for example, or defense, when you wanted crit rate or crit damage. Just something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't want to happen. You have a perfectly good piece of gear, and RNG just fucks you over.
Yeah, exactly. Fully agreed. And of course, in that, we're going to can you give me 1 second? Yeah. There we go. I had to quickly message my my friend. Yeah, there we go. He's so understanding. Sorry, one of my friends joined the VC because I forgot how to do this thing. But yeah. So basically, Where were we at again?
Gear.
Oh yeah, gear. Oh, that's definitely the wrong Discord that I just clicked on. That's also wait. Oh, of course, our notes are in our DMs. I was like, wait, where did I put it? Let's see. Next up, we such equipment as well. What I think is really great is like Dragalia's equipment system, where it's just like you're just grinding to max the equipment. Now another equipment system that I think I like even more than Dragalia, but it does have a little few strings attached to it, but not a big deal. World Flipper might be my favorite equipment system. It's literally as simple as get 5 copies of the equipment and you're done.
Oh,
now.
Yeah. And do you want to know what that's just like, actually?
Mm-hmm.
That is just like Grand Blue.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is that right now every single piece of gear we've gotten is free to play obtainable. Just grind. Some is RNG drop related, but nonetheless just grind. Some of them are event locked, which is a pain, especially if you're joining in later on. But you know, we can say the same thing about summoning for a Gacha character, even though his rerun isn't gonna come for a long time. He should have joined when he came out. You know, we can yell about anything Gacha related.
But no, like based on what I'm saying, it sounds like you would like Grand Blue. Not even gonna lie to you.
We might have to see. I just don't like the way Grand Blue looks. I guess we
really?
Because the HUD and the UI.
I think your style's unique.
The HUD and the UI, I don't know. It just looks like a 2010 website to me.
I mean, it is a web browser game, so.
Yeah, it doesn't look appealing to me, which you know, it's just.
Yeah, I understand that. It takes some getting used to, but I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, okay, but basically the thing that I'm worried about with World Flipper, and that's gonna be an issue at some point. You also have summonable equipment pieces, which can be yikes. Can I just say this? Making anything other than characters summonable should never ever in any gacha be a thing, unless they are like daily 2 multis for free equipment randomly, blah blah blah, like Princess Connect. But like for the core gacha, I hate it when they do stuff like other than just the characters.
Yeah, like dual gachas and shit.
No, not dual gachas. Like in My Hero Academia, the strongest hero, they have like cards and active cards abilities that you get summoned for to do that. In World Flipper, you can summon for equipment. In what else do I guess Legends is fine with Zenkais, I guess, because it's not needed, but like I just like Worm Prince used to be in the Dragalia summon pool, you know. I'd much rather all Worm Prince being like, you know, available for everyone at any point as long as they were there when the event was live, you know, whatever, rather than having to, you know, summon your life away to try to get the one Worm Prince. I think that's the case. I think Gacha summoning systems, which I won't go too deep into because summoning system will be the bit, but should always be just characters, and that's what I'm trying to say. If World Flipper, that's the only thing I'm worried about. World Flipper, if we at some point get super meta equipment pieces that are purely summonable, well, I would much rather wait for a cool character, you know, that's going to impact every single team of like one of the 3 to 5 meta type of damage dealings that you can have. I would much rather have that at the end of the day. Which is my main thought on the equipment pieces. If it's just let equipment just be free to play grindable, no sub stats, just make it a dupe system, and just be done with it. Make it like free to play cards were in Star Smash, basically.
Yeah.
That like yeah.
But yeah, see, I don't mind substats, but you need to do it correctly. That is my catch.
I don't like them because at the end of the day, yeah, sure, if the rerolling is easily accessible, but I can do like the issue with it is, with equipment pieces for me, no one will ever go for like a perfect substance.
I exist.
You will try all your equipment sets for all your characters. You're gonna try to go for perfect 10 out of 10 substats that are fully filled out.
If not immediately, but at some point, yeah.
Yeah, okay, at some point.
Especially if I love the character. But yeah, like...
Yeah, if you love the character.
That is the thing. It should be a show of effort, not RNG. That's my catch up.
My main issue with substats also is that like if an equipment has 5 substats, right? That means that you can have like 5 to the power of 5 is like, what the fuck is 5 to the power? 125 times 5, 500, 625 times 5. You have about 30,000 combinations, or like 3,000 plus combinations, right? If each of them had to be a unique, if you have like 5 substats, each of them can be a unique one. That's not counting if you have more than 5 unique substats. And that means that you want to obviously try to get the optimal substats for a unit, which means that if you get a gear set that's super optimal for one character, sure, you can try to equip it to another, but you will have to know that it's not their optimal set, which means that you're gonna have to get another set for the character, even if it's one substat off, because if you're willing to grind for all substats max, then even one substat being different means that you will not be using that equipment on 2 characters.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just think substats is just a ginormous waste of time and can be done in a different way rather than substats with RNG or whatever. And I don't want it to be non-RNG either, because if you have like 10 different types of substats in 5 slots.
Right, yeah, like I just want it to be effort. That's it. And honestly, I don't and I see gear as quote unquote main content, of where every event, everything else is pretty much extra. Your main goal is to get gear for characters for whatever end game modes exist.
Right.
Every other form of content is extra, and that's why I'm fine with gear systems existing like that, of where the main point is just to get as many characters up as possible, and it not being a short amount of time. Pretty much, right. You're investing your time into these characters.
One sec. I think my cable is just... Yeah, I fully agree. But yeah, I think we got our opinions out on equipment. Once again, if you guys have made it this far into the video, it's like 45 minutes so far already. And we're only on point 2. We're gonna have to rush, kind of, my dude. Well, I mean, it's a podcast type thing, so I think we'll be fine, but still. Next up, obviously, well, first things first, if you guys have any opinions, of course, on any of these topics, because obviously these podcast type videos are supposed to be watched while you're either working on something or in increments, but if you have any kind of opinions on anything we're saying, once again, these are just our views, but feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Try to keep it civil, though, but obviously be willing to give criticism and take it. Next up, we have characters. Now, I can keep the characters tab really short for us, to be completely honest. When you start up a gacha, and this is gonna roll into summoning, which is when we can give bigger opinions, you can go, like, obviously with a big IP like Dragon Ball, where you can put, like, a lot of characters out there, and a lot of versions of characters, and blah, 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 because you have Goku, you have Super Saiyan Goku during the other arc, and then Super Saiyan Goku during the filler arc, and then Super Saiyan Goku during the Cell Saga, and you guys get my drift, right? You have a lot of room space. But a topic that me and my friends were talking about a little while ago, which would be like a VTuber Hololive gacha, which is because a few gachas have already collabed with them, and then Princess Connect started like doing music with them, and we were like, could they get another collab or maybe even their own gacha? My issue with that is just simply that there are not enough characters in there to keep a gacha alive. So what would you do if you wanted to pick an IP like Hololive or something else, but you do not have the characters to keep it alive? Now, obviously, you would have to start making multiple variants of the same characters. Now, you can go one of 2 paths, right? You can go like Regalia, where the different variants of them are either the limited ones, like the Galas, or event ones, like a Halloween, a summer, Christmas type characters. But if you were to work with such a little cast like Hololive, for example, once again, I don't know a better example than a small cast that actually has a realistic chance of getting a gacha, especially with them getting a game apparently at some point in the relative future. Not gacha, but a game nonetheless. You would obviously have to make multiple variants of same characters. For example, references to multiple episodes, like their normal self, different outfits, maybe the one time Luna pulled out a bazooka out of nowhere, you know, that kind of stuff. you would have to start doing stuff like that. So that's what we're kind of referring to with characters. Characters is something Gacha definitely need to think of very, very carefully, because it's gotta decide the way your actual core mechanic and core way to get money, the Gacha, is going to have to operate. And I do feel like, you know, I'll leave that for lunch, but like, I do believe that has quite the impact on it. Now,
but no, like a game series that already exists that I can think of that relates that perfectly is any SAO game that's ever released. Any SAO Gacha that has ever released.
yeah,
It is littered with alts.
yeah.
Like,
But I also feel like that's the case because Sword Art Online my apologies. Sword Art Online by its core is just, sorry to say it, but it's like virgin waifu bait. So I feel like that was kind of unavoidable with the, you know, and another type of like, you know, baiting another group of people, but I cannot say that out loud or YouTube will, you know, tell me. I'm just saying there's at least one non-consensual scene per season. So I think you guys can fill in the blanks. You guys are smart enough for that. But yeah, I feel, and apparently in the Gacha they also started doing that now with units, which is like really fucked up. But nonetheless, you know, you gotta roll with that kind of stuff, and you gotta really think about it because it's really important. Because if you think about it later on, you're gonna start just pushing out units just to push them out rather than to actually think about them, which is a pain in the ass. Also, this Pokemon theme is banging, but speaking of which, though, let's move on to summoning system. Now, feel free to fill on if I'm going to miss anything. A summoning system can have one of a few. If you just make a summoning system like Dokkan used to have in like pre-2017, that's base Gacha what Dokkan used to have pre-2017. No pity, no guarantees per multi, no nothing, no nothing, no nothing. You just summoned and you were completely reliant on the raids. Yeah. That's base Gacha. If you do that, your Gacha's trash. I don't care how much you love the characters. I don't care how much fun you are having on the Gacha. That is a bad Gacha. Same thing I would say about like Genshin. You know, you can have fun with it, that's fine. But it's a, you know, before the pity system as a Gacha it failed. Its pity system right now is actually not that bad. But without anything like that, like if you're gonna start a summoning system, a Gacha system like old Dokkan, it's just a bad Gacha, you know. Sure, you might succeed in money because you put like a popular IP and you bring like swimsuit characters of all the girls out every 2 months, which will make everybody spend a ton of money, and then you make a meta as well, so you spend even more money. Sure, you know, but as a Gacha, as a Gacha player with standards, which I know is a hilarious statement by the way, trash.
It's an oxymoron and a half.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I have standards, damn it. But like that, and a few ways to counter it. I assume you agree with me on that, right? A Gacha system like old 2017-ish Dokkan is just at this point just garbage.
Oh.
Yeah. Then we have.
If I don't see step ups or a pity, it's like.
Then we have the ways to counter this. Now, the first thing that started being big on Gachas, the first two things that started being big, pities were a thing back then, but not that big, were guaranteed highest rarity per multi, and step-ups.
Yeah.
Now, step-ups was kind of a predecessor mini form of pity, but step-ups. Now, for people who, once again, are new and are just watching this because they enjoy the content, which I really appreciate it, and don't fully understand how gachas work on that front, what makes a gacha a gacha? At the end of the day, and I'm gonna say it in realistic terms, I know some person will be like, well, actually, by definition, a gacha is actually a lot more specific. I don't give a fuck. Basically, what happens is you have a banner with, like, units on the banner, and every unit has their own percentage chance of being pulled, and you give it like a bunch of summon currency, and then it gives you like 10 characters back, and it goes through the entire list and randomly picks a character from there according to their chances. That's basically Gacha. Now you can spend money to summon more. Now you can spend like $50,000 and not get what you want. And back in early Dokkan, that was actually not that unrealistic of a case. Especially since people back then didn't even try to go for the new character. They were just happy if they pulled a SSR. But then you have guarantees. So, for example, you're guaranteed one 5-star SSR, which is the highest base rarity of a unit you can pull per multi. Quite generous, or per 10 pulls if you want to be nice to the psychopaths who like doing single summons competitively. So every single multi you did, you would get a guaranteed SSR. When this first happened on Dokkan, people were freaking out. Oh my god, it's gonna change the game forever. It didn't really, but it's still very, very nice. It was a huge add-on. People were shocked because they were like, oh well, it only has a 5% chance to be featured. I'm like, yeah, but like,
nothing in my opinion.
Yeah, which is, but like, people are spoiled. Or maybe it was 3%, I don't know, I don't care. But the thing is that there's a lot of very meta good units in the general pool, but I'm not here to rant about Dokkan, or like, rather it's player based. I'm here to make the statement rather that like, guaranteed highest rarity per multi is something that should be like in most games that use big general pools. If you do not, then I understand why you wouldn't. Or if you just have really high base rates. Like if you have like if you have higher than a 10% chance to get like an SSR per multi, yeah, okay. If you have like a 15 or 20% chance, okay, let me be more realistic. If you have like a 15% base chance to pull an SSR, okay, you're by far justified not to put that in, Now for some people, 50...
Actually, I can relate this to Masters, Master Fairs, and tickets in general.
Go for it.
So what Masters did is that their Master Fairs are 12% 5-star rates, but 1% featured rates, whereas normal fairs are 10 to 2. But what they did is that for general pool 5 stars, they split the general pool into each individual region. So you have tickets for a Kanto banner, you have tickets for a Johto banner, Hoenn banner, and all that. Of where they just split everyone off, and you get tickets throughout the weekend. When you get enough, hey, you can get a character from this region, or if you want to hold on to them for your favorite to be added to that pool, you can do that as well.
Indeed. And like I said,
I think that was the right way to go about it, and I think Dokkan should have done something similar to that in the past, because the pool just gets so big after a period of time.
I do agree, but I think Dokkan is quite in a fine spot now, especially with coins and all that. Actually, yeah. Speaking of which, let's start talking about pity systems. Oh boy. So, no. We still have to go step-ups first. So now, what is a step-up? For a step-up banner, you can, for example, say the first multi that you do, instead of 50 stones for a multi, is like 25. Then the next one is 30. The next one is 45. Then you get a free multi, right? Or stuff like every 3 multis you do, you get a multi for free. That kind of stuff. All very, 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 very nice. Of course, you can also combine them like Dokkan likes to do. Like Dokkan step-ups, especially on global, are goated like hell. Like, they're some of the most insane stuff. But yeah, that started happening next. Now, as that went on, another meta of summoning started arising, which was pity. And now, what is a pity? Matt, what's a pity system?
So the concept of a pity started with the Grand Blue, believe it or not. Sagames was the very, very first company to say we need a pity system in place after several complaints of, I forgot what banner it was, but they were actually the very, very first company to do that, and then I learned that. So a pity system is so let's say you do a multi, and so you do a multi and you get a certain amount of points or whatever. After when you get X amount of points, you can pick a character of your choice, right? From a select pool, which will have the feature character in it. That is a pity system. It is a spending ceiling for one copy of the character.
Right. Exactly. Now, pity system it can also be quite thick. So, like Matt said, a copy of the character, but it can be also more. For example, in Dokkan, every single multi you do, you get coins, which you can exchange in the shop for like some units that are currently live on a banner. However, you cannot exchange them for the most recent introduced unit. Only units that have already appeared once before. It still counts as a pity system by definition, but a lot less crazy. Now, however, for example, let's take Dragalia versus Dokkan to see the two opposites of this end, right? The two extremes. Now, on Dragalia, how it works is that you have Worm Sigil. For every multi you do, you get 10 Worm Sigil. For every single you do, you get 1 Worm Sigil. If you get 300 Worm Sigils, you basically get a free copy of the new unit.
Right, yeah, and they also have other Gal units on there, other Gala Dragons and Dragons in general on there. So yeah, they do give you an option. Now,
exactly.
When it comes to side games, we consider it sparking, because they already have a 5-star pity system, where when you get up to, when your rate builds up to 9%, you get a 5-star guaranteed. We call that the pity, and what is the pity system, we call that as a spark.
Yeah. So, once again,
just
as
to
you can
avoid
see,
any confusion about that.
As you can see, a pity system is a very broad term. In Dragalia, they split it up because they had two. For example, Dragalia, if you have a 4% chance to get a 5-star, you do a multi, you don't get one, then you have a 4.5% chance on your next summon. If you don't get it again, you have a 5% chance. If you don't get it again, you have a 5.5% chance. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Making some people even do the very smart tactic of doing single summons until they've done the first 10 set and then starting to do multis. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of difference there. Now, on Dokkan then, you have it so that you cannot get them... but let's keep going then on Spark, right? So on the Spark, which is a variant of the pity system, the issue is the Worm Sigil you collect, which you need 300 of to get the new unit. It gets, once the banner is gone, it resets. It's unique per banner. So that means that if you did like 29 multis and the banner goes away, you would have to do, again, from 0 to 30 multis on the next banner. On Dokkan's end, however, you cannot get a free copy of the new unit guaranteed. However, what you can get is coins that you can save forever and then use to buy whatever unit is featured at the time you want to buy something. Both extremes, there's a lot of pity-like systems that are a mix of both. But those are like the two extremes on it. Now.
Yeah. Now, can I say a hot take?
Go for it, lad.
I don't consider coins an actual pity system. All because for the banner that is live, that you're spending for the unit, you are not guaranteed that unit at all.
I would agree for if it was
that
for
is
one
the
thing.
only reason why I don't.
Yeah, no. But
I understand the benefits to it. But I don't like that one specific thing about it.
There's one specific big hold on your reasoning. Who is to say that they're summoning for the new unit?
Yeah. See, that is case by case.
Exactly.
But most of the time, that is the case. Most of the time.
You can say.
Oh, hey, LR so and so is here. You're brand new. I want you because you would fit on my XYZ team.
Yeah, well, I mean, we say that,
I don't think something for units coming back is a bad shout, and I think that yes, that is a pity system then. But because there's a gray area to it, I don't consider it.
Fair enough. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's more like an additional add-on because it's more like a bonus that you get when summoning rather than an actual pity system.
Exactly. I consider it a very, very good bonus with a lot of benefits to it, but I don't consider it a pity for that gray area.
Yeah. Now, okay. Next up, of course, we're going to start talking about dupes. Good old dupes.
Oh god, I got some shit to say about this as well.
Now, a dupe system, for people who don't know, is when you pull multiple copies of a unit and you can actually feed them into that unit to get a form of a benefit. That's what we call a dupe system. Now, now how you interact with that is the system itself. Now, what do you need to know about this? In Dokkan Battle, you have a skill tree, which can give a character higher stats and a higher chance, or a chance at all to begin with, to do stuff like an additional super attack, a critical hit or the chance to dodge and negate all damage from the enemy's attack. Stuff like that. However, you can also do stuff like in World Flipper, where instead of that, you you unlock a higher level cap for them. Or you can do what Regalia and Princess Connect do, for example, and you totally negate the use. Well, okay, I'll take Princess Connect for a better example right now because Regalia has dragons, and I don't feel like explaining that because for people who don't know what gachas are, they're confused, and for people who do, you've probably played Regalia, so you probably know. Now,
right, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, in Princess Connect, basically how it works is you have a unit and you pull them, and they're like 3-star. And you're like, yeah, 3-star, but I want to get them up to 4-star and 5-star. Now you can do that by feeding shards into them. You have a material that you can transform into a shard unique for each character, and you can feed it into them, and then they can unlock if you have like 100 or 120 from 3-star to 4-star, 4-star to 5-star. Obviously, you could also awaken units from 1-star to 5-star, which take a bit more shards because you also would have to get them from 1 to 3-star. Now, how Princess Connect works is that for every duplicate of a character that you pull, you get the material that you can exchange for shards. So rather than me being like, oh, I want a character A, oh no, I pulled I have character A and B, and I want to awaken my character A from 4-star to 5-star. Oh no, I pulled a second copy of character B. That's too bad, I don't want to use them. Instead, you'll get shards that you can transfer over into memories for character A to get them to rank up. In my opinion, that is the best system, or a variant of it rather. In Dragalia, for example, so basically, in Princess Connect, you still have a form to boost your characters that is locked behind something. For example, locked behind something that you cannot grind for indefinitely. So you would need to summon to get the shards to awaken the character further. There is some that you can get for free the shards from, but not all. In Dragalia, once you pull a adventurer, you're done. That's all you need. You can grind the materials to awaken them to unlock their skill tree, which is called a mana circle. You can grind the weapons for them. You can level up their levels. There is nothing that you need dupes for in any way, shape, or form to do that. Now, of course, well, technically, Eldwater are like the final 4 nodes inside of their, mana spiral, but that's not that big of a deal. It's not something like going from 3-star to 4-star or 4-star to 5-star. No. But because of that, they end up giving you Eldwater in return. Now, which system do I prefer? And for people who don't know what Eldwater is, you can use Eldwater to increase the dupe system of other materials like your worm prints and all that. Now, I prefer the Dragalia system. However, that's purely if we're comparing adventurers to characters in Princess Connect. If I were to compare the whole dupe system of Dragalia to Princess Connect, I would probably end up picking Princess Connect purely because, well, we all know the Eldwater struggles.
Yeah, although there are farming spots for it. Granted, they're time limited. But yeah, you can get Eldwater through more spots than just summoning. It's like a whole economy. I don't want to say market because obviously there's no trading or anything like that, but it's like a whole economy where it's like, oh, okay, now you can get a bunch of Eldwater. Oh, you have a bunch of Eldwater, you can now get Prince. You can max out Prince. Oh, hey, you can now promote a bunch of weaker adventures that you have. For example, T-Hope. Just things like that. Yeah, I like that system, and I like that kind of thinking to it, but I do understand how appealing the Princess Connect system is because when I played it, I went to that shit and like, okay, I love this. This is amazing.
Yeah, the dupe system in there is honestly a very amazing thing, and we don't want to say that one is shit and the other is good. These are both very, very good systems, and if we were to see a new gacha and they had either one of those systems, neither of us would complain. I would bet you that neither of us would complain at that point at all.
Neither. Now, can I go into a dupe system I don't like?
Go for it. Here we go. So everybody grab the red. Ooh, interesting. Pop off.
Oh, okay. So this is more specific, but where I was really scarred from this was games like SAO, of where they have competitive ranked modes. All that the level caps do is give you more stats, more damage, more inflation. So when it comes to rank-based content and just PvP in general, granted it's turn-based stuff, the stats matter way more. So it becomes a whales only ground.
Yeah, I do feel that, and that's a little sneak peek into the PvP point. But yes, I very much agree with that. Now,
So
I think that has less to do with that system as a whole, and more to do with the fact that it contains PvP.
Yes, I do agree with that, but I have yet to see an example of that happen with PvE-based content, of where the level caps mattered that much, or I'm just not remembering it off the tip of my head. But that's my major flaw, because any game that happens to have it has some form of ranked mode where it matters a lot.
World Flipper.
Yeah, I didn't get far enough in World Flipper to comment on that.
World Flipper has that same type of content, where if you pull a dupe of a unit, you can unlock the level cap with it. Now, they are quite generous with the materials that you can use for it to do it instead.
Yeah, and that is another factor, but that's another story as well. About free dupe systems, but...
Exactly, but obviously you can get free dupes in it. But the thing is that your base level cap is like, for a 5-star is 80, and for lower rarities it's lower, but I'm sorry, but like you get so many materials for lower rarities that it doesn't really matter. But the max level cap is 100. So from 80 to 100, it's not that big of a deal, luckily enough. Which is really good, obviously.
Right, yeah. So, but then there are dupe systems like Grand Cross, where it just raises your ult. That is good for like specific characters. But they also increase your CC for PvP. For PvP, who goes first, and I feel that's a little bit more of a gray area where you can work around it and whatnot with different kinds of foods.
I feel like PvP as a whole just kind of ruins the imbalances in gachas, because like the little imbalances hit so much harder if you're like, you know, doing if you have like PvP involved, because gachas are so wheel friendly, dude. It's insane.
Right, yeah, but the Masters has it so where when you pull two additional copies, that they unlock more of what's called a sync grid, of where you just input over you need to select specific nodes, because you can't unlock everything in the grid, unlike Dokkan's potential system. And where you get certain passives against certain forms of content. But the thing is that most of the time, it, as nice as it is to quote maximize the unit, you don't need it, because there are people who do every form of content with 1 out of 5, sometimes even non-gridded units as well. So just bare bones units, they just do the hardest content. Skill trumps.
Right.
Now I could go into Legends, but I'd be here for a while.
But I do think we can like agree that most of the dupe systems that we mentioned, including the level cap ones, are not that bad if they're just not influenced by stuff like competitive PvP or a competitive mode.
It needs to be done the right way.
Yeah. So as for the dupe system, that's what we would like to see, I think, for dupe system. Now next up, we're gonna have a little pivot moment right here. So you know, this if you're here purely for our like analysis and how gacha should work, go grab something to drink, go grab some popcorn, because we're right now going into the story, which means that doesn't matter at all, or you can just kind of skip forward until we're done with the story. Story. Fucking hell, stories don't matter one bit. My god, stories are the most useless things I have seen in gachas. Main stories, at least. You don't need them to succeed. You don't need them at all, actually, for that matter. You can succeed as a gacha easily without story. Hell, I have yet to see a gacha that, besides maybe Legends, where like most of the player base to this day still cares about the story. Which is really kind of sad, but you know, it is what it is. And Dragalia, obviously.
Right.
Now you can have stories where the developers obviously instantly gave up, like Dokkan. But I heard you wanted to say something.
Right, yeah. So stories mostly serve as your base form of currency when you start the game. So it could be as bare bones as Dokkan, where obviously it's so basic and boring where you just go through it, or it could be like Blazing, where you're going through the original Naruto story, where you already know the story. It doesn't matter. It's just free currency.
Now,
That's like the basic premise of story modes.
I would much more prefer going through the original stories of the IPs than a boring original story. Now, the two gachas that I have played that, in my opinion, have the best unique stories, and Matt already knows this, are Trigalia and Legends. Now, for me personally, I would put Legends' story over Trigalia, and I already can hear some people screaming from, like, I don't know, the other side of the planet at me, like, oh my god, how dare you know Dragon Ball is just screaming and Trigalia has deep plot and sad and depression. I'm like, yeah, but it also has like 2.5 years to basically 3 years of the only reason the character keeps moving forward is because, oh, I have to save my little sister. Hi, little sister. Oh no, somebody else kidnapped her. Time to save my little sister. Oh no, somebody else kidnapped her.
Take this as someone who actually enjoys Dragalia's story, goes very, very in-depth with it. It is not the best storytelling in existence.
No.
The reason why you enjoy it is for the lore behind the bosses, the world. You enjoy the world building.
And the event stories, for example, the year 1, year 2, and year 3 anniversary event stories are banging. They're absolutely amazing. But like main story, and I feel like if Dragalia Lost writers didn't fucking try to write Zathia as the only reason that we're ever doing anything for like I get it. If it was like a year, fine. 2 years, I was like, okay, this is annoying. It took them 3 years for Zathia getting spam kidnapped by everybody and their uncle behind the trash can to finally 3 years for people to stop spam kidnapping Zathia every time somebody frees her.
Pretty much, but then my other issue with it is that they don't know how to end an arc.
Yeah, the Dragalia devs do not know how to end an arc, which is fine because the beginning 2 years of the story were mostly build-ups, you know? We're mostly building up to something else. Even ending the story with the other felt more like a build-up to the story of the siblings rather than, you know, the actual end of the other, which was true because the other story was not finished yet. We would end up learning more about Morciati.
Exactly, and we're still learning more about him too. For example, of when Gal Chronos Nix had released, we learned a little bit more about him.
Exactly, and so that was fine. But the issue is that they Dragalia would be by far one of my favorite would be by far my favorite gacha game unique story by a mile and a half. Like literally like me like riding a motorcycle compared to somebody riding like a racing car, you know, that kind of lead. If it wasn't for the fact that for 3 years straight all we did was chase after random people who wanted to kidnap our little sister. If it wasn't for that, it would have been such a good story. And sure, it would have its hiccups, but I don't give a damn.
The world building was great, but the basic storytelling is not the greatest, despite what other people think.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I say this as someone who's actually been learning more and more about stories as a whole.
The world building of Dragalia is amazing. Though I will say that one thing they should do more is pay off world building. We have a lot of world building which they start and add little pieces to, but the payoffs are so the payoffs or the tight ends are so far in between, or hell, not even there yet after 3 years, that a lot of us get bored, and they keep introducing new clans, new people, new groups, new countries, new continents, and it's like, I get it, it's fun, but you can't expect me to keep caring about these things if you don't wrap up their stories when you keep introducing new ones.
Yeah, like for example, I'm literally sitting here wondering, okay, what is Morciati still? Like, he's classified as a demon, so what does that make Mordecai? What did Ilya pull out of? Pull out of
her magical hat? Yes.
Yeah, like exactly. Like these loose ends are not tied up, and it's just not the best storytelling. You can go back to it 4 years later, and it's still not good.
for example, what's the dude that he used to have as his profile picture the whole time? You know, the magical people who throw like the papers and all that kind of stuff. One of them was like a free-to-play unit. One of them is the rat.
Oh, what, Mitsuhide?
Yeah, their group. I thought that was a really fun story, and they were like teasing this big table of a bunch of people there, and then just who?
Yeah, just the Zodiacs in general. Like, yeah, they're interesting, but they're meant to be their own side thing, similar to the Apostles. That's merging in with the main story now.
Yeah, but like it took that long for them to start finally freaking merging in.
Yeah, exactly. It did take a while, but I think Hinamoto is pretty much forever going to be its own side thing.
And also, they took way too long to, one, properly make the Agitos relevant in the story compared to the introduction, and two, it took way too long for them to actually be useful and big proper. Besides, here's my ideology. I know more than you do. Then what do you know? I'm not going to tell you. Bye-bye. You know, like, that's cool maybe once or twice, but when you do it like 4 times for 5 characters and individual scenarios, it gets really boring real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like they just introduced them as bosses first, so we had the basic idea of how they work, then they introduced them as characters. So I feel like that their personalities and characters as a whole was a side thought.
Exactly. And, well, moving on from that, because we're not here to talk purely about Dragalia, but yeah, so, like, you can have a great story, great world building and everything, but do not forget the basics. Please focus on the basics of storytelling before you start trying to be, like, the next Lord of the Rings or some shit, okay? Please, I beg.
Right, yeah, and that is the issue here. It's a mobile game. It's meant to last. It's meant to last, so they just keep it going for as long as possible.
I agree, but
those tying loose ends, they're okay. When can we come back to this when we need content?
I know,
that's why they do it, but it's not good.
No, that's not the reason for Sathya though at all. Because you cannot tell me that they can write such good world building, but none of them could like write a better thing than Sathya getting kidnapped 24/7. None of them stood still. Yeah,
it was easy.
Yeah, you and I could have done it for fuck's sake, and we are not, like, sure, we know it because we play story games and all that, but we are not professional story writers. We do not know the terms, we do not know the patterns that we have to follow.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about writing my own shit.
I mean, that's fine, but I mean, like, on a professional term.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But for example, you also have other stories like Legends, for example. Legends' unique story popped off and has been an amazing success. It made characters like Nappa fan favorites, which we don't know how because Nappa was irrelevant as fuck, but he is amazing. Huh?
I thought Ghost Nappa made him a fan favorite.
No, because like the issue with anything abridged related is that extremist abridged fans kind of made abridged not that funny anymore.
I agree, but he'll forever be funny. To me.
Yeah, but like Nappa basically became like a favorite amongst people purely because of Legends and Coach Nappa. But that's like the thing with the Bridge Nappa is he's kind of his own dude, you know. Like making Nappa a likable character while you don't have to keep track of the continuity or his personality at all is way easier than having to take actual DBZ Nappa and making him likable.
See now here's the thing. That is the advantage to having a pre-existing story and pre-existing characters. You don't need to build a character from the ground up to make them likable. So you take a character and you just adjust them in ways that the audience will like them because they have the prior knowledge of how the original creator made them.
We say this, however, it also makes it more difficult because you would have to write it in a way that people will not just say it's the same thing as before, or you would have to write them in a way that they do something different than they normally did, so you aren't just being a copycat while also not doing something where people will complain that's completely out of character. Not that Dragon Ball cares about that, as we've seen in Super, but nonetheless.
If you were gonna say it, I was gonna say it, but no, that is exactly it. You have the template in front of you, and you have what the audience likes and dislikes about this character literally right in front of you. So you just write right around that.
Exactly.
So it's not it's not that like that is the advantage to unique stories of where you have loose ends that the creator left, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, I think Shout was related to the original God.
Wait, what?
Right? Isn't Shout related to the original Super Saiyan or something like that?
No.
Or how that worked?
No, we haven't gotten enough backstory on him. Like, it could be, but
I could have sworn I remember someone mentioned that, but
yeah, well, people have made a lot of theories about Shout.
Theories, alright. Alright, yeah, I didn't know that was a theory. But yeah, like whatever loose ends that the creator leads to, if you're making a game, easy, just tie it off that branch. Like,
yeah.
If you have the original source material to work with, you can do so much with it in ways that people will love you for immediately because it's what they've always wanted.
Right.
Whereas with a unique story, you need to build everything from the ground up. Now, of what Dragalia did, and you hear me mention this game a lot, but Grand Blue. What they did is that they combined elements of Grand Blue and an old title that they had that didn't work. So they just combined them and went with it.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, as conclusion to the story, it doesn't really fucking matter at the end of the day. It can.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah, exactly. However, it can be a huge pillar in the community of the game. But once again, you're all gacha devs. Who gives a fuck about your player base? Let's be completely honest here. You care about making money, else you would have made an actual game. Not that I'll fault you for it, because I'll gladly play him, but let's not try to bullshit each other now. We all know what the points of Gacha. Now, the story is gone. We're like halfway through the video. I would like to think if we're going by topics, an hour and a half in almost.
Oh my god.
Now, next
okay. Looking at the rest of these topics, I feel like we touched on them a little bit, so these are gonna be quicker, but...
Oh, don't do that. Don't give me hope. No. But yeah, probably. So here's the thing. Next up, we're gonna start talking about multiplayer, co-op, leaderboards, or pure single-player content. Let's start off with co-op, since I feel like that'll be the easier one to get rid of, and multiplayer will be a bigger topic. Co-op and multiplayer now. We have seen it being handled quite well and quite badly in multiple scenarios. I'm gonna start off with the quite badly. Dragon Ball Legends. Quite terribly. It's gotten better now, but the issue is that it's just you and some random dude online spamming attacks together. No strategy, no nothing. The only strategy that you have is call the enemy's attention if he's rushing the other dude who's lower on health, so he might be able to heal if he's even able to do that, and time your rising rushes together, which even that some Legends players can apparently not do. And that's the entirety of co-op, which, and people have stated, it's fucking laggy from time to time. It has a lot of bugs in it. They had a huge issue with balancing the difficulty of the bosses, because y'all know how it is in general, and also very, very little incentive to actually play it. And then you have like the good versions of it, like Trigalia Lost and World Flipper, in my opinion. And Grand Cross. I will give Grand Cross that. They are all very, very good ways to play together. In Grand Cross, you're fighting together against the boss, and all of you guys are like, putting your attacks in turn-based on the field. You actually are able to back out if you don't like the enemy's team. You're able to chat with each other, so that's also really useful. You're able to post little icons, to say like, hey, I'm gonna be icons that represent what moves you're gonna put out, depending on which characters you pick. Obviously, you need to unlock the icons, but yes, very, very good system. Maybe a chat function would have been nice, but I feel like if they introduced a chat function into Grand Cross, then half of the player base would be gone in like a week. Banned, to be specific. Next up, we have, obviously, like I was saying, we have, World Flipper. We're gonna go World Flipper before we go Trigalia, because I'll leave Trigalia all up to Matt, because once again, he knows more about it than I do. I also know a lot about it, don't get me wrong, but like, that's his bread and butter.
Pretty much, yeah.
World Flipper has a really fun way where it's like, oh, how do I explain this? Basically, there's a boss and you all fight him at once, but you all fight him on your own plane of existence. Basically, you will not bounce off each other, but some parts interact. For example, if one person freezes the boss in their version, then he gets frozen for everyone. You'll see a see-through version of the units of your allies bouncing around doing what they're doing, but they'll not directly interact. However, if an ally goes down and you have to hit that gravestone multiple times to respawn them, or like one of their 3 units, you, even though you're not on their plane, can still hit the gravestone and help out with that as well. Very, 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 very fun and good system. Also very, there's a huge community for it out there, so you know what units to bring. And there's even certain comps that you can do where you can basically beat bosses in like 5 to 10 seconds. But those comps are balanced because you need 3 people to run the exact same comp. Maybe one person brings like somebody who can get rid of the enemy's like attack or defense buff, but like for the rest, the exact same teams with the exact same, you know, system, you know, skill tree up, so that all of them can have the exact same amount of skill gouge at the start, and then they all need to trigger their skills at the exact same time and then unleash hell, and then he gets one shot. So fair and balanced. Really, 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 really good system. Now, oh. My screen share stopped. Nino? Oh, hello?
Yeah.
I don't know why my screen share stopped, but here we go, it's back. I have my BGM on the screen share, so like Matt can hear it as well. Now, there we go. Now, next up, obviously, what we have, is that we have Dragalia, which Matt can pop off about.
Right, yeah. So Dragalia is more MMO style of where people take up a specific role and you fight a boss together. The Alitos, the Minion, but you also have raids like more Sayati. I was hoping we would get in Elysium, but raid events in general of where everyone brings a full team of 4. So it's 16 people in one fight. Well, not people, but 16 characters, 4 people in one fight. Like, I like that. It's a lot of fun, but god damn it, sometimes it's so fucking hard to get a specific role if the person doesn't know how to use it or doesn't even have the right character for it, the right setup. Sometimes it's hard, but like typical MMOs where raid parties exist, you have like servers of where people say, hey, I need to do this boss, I can use this, and people could just take it from there.
And that is why you queue with people like me and Matt, who can basically fill any role no matter what element, because we are in our brain it's just common knowledge how to play him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But for new players, I understand where the issue lies. It's more of an MMO.
Yeah, it's kind of like for some people, MMO roles just fall naturally, like healer, tank, DPS, and all that guys. All you need to know is like what your role is and how to interact with the boss. But some people just actually cannot hold like certain timings. They prefer to just spam damage, and if they were to like time their healing, they would just, you know, get like, I don't know, like a seizure on their hands or something.
Right, yeah, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that system exists. And it's something that not everyone can adapt to very easily. So I understand the merits to that system, but I find it a lot of fun personally. Now I bring up this game again, but how Grand Blue does it is honestly co-op only, where you enter a boss. Okay, so in Dragalia of how solo bosses have less HP than co-op because you could be more specific in co-op. Grand Blue, it's the same across the board. Of where you find the boss solo, same amount of HP, co-op, same amount of HP. Now, when it comes to early game content, you can have a maximum of 30 people in the raid. And because people in this game are still built up, you really just hit the boss once, press home, you wait like a minute, and you go back to the raid page, and hey, boss is done, and you get your rewards.
Yep.
So early game content, you can kind of cheese like that. But late game content, like, I know a specific form of Lucilius can only let 8 people in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot harder to carry. I don't know about Super Bahamut because people are just starting that now, and that's like a brand new thing. But I would not be surprised if that was 8 as well. And that thing is like 3 billion HP. Like, that thing's no joke. And people are actually doing it, but it took them a day to actually figure out how to do it.
Right.
People in this game. But yeah, I like Grand Blue system a lot as well, because because Oh, because you can literally just sit here on like the raid page, finding raids for the boss you want, joining, hitting, backing out, and doing that multiple times. You could literally be in that cycle for hours. I find it so mesmerizing. It appeases the multitasking side that my brain just loves. Like, oh my god. I find it fun, but I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah, it's Dragalia co-op. It's just omega fun.
Yeah. Right, yeah, especially when you're like day oneing something and you're trying a new strategy and whatever, you have that communication with everyone.
Pre-meta is always fun. Pre-established meta is always fun because it's just experimenting. But yeah, so like that kind of stuff. Now moving over onto like multiplayer, how do you handle players playing with each other in other senses? Not direct PvP, but also not
friendly
direct
fire off. Step 1.
Basically what I'm mostly referring to is you can do stuff like Twitter events where they play together, where they try to get the rewards together. You can do stuff like a leaderboard system, you know, where the higher you are in the leaderboard compared to other players, the better rewards you get, which I don't deem as like proper way to interact, to put multiplayer in. But if you are planning on making your game basically single player, if you want to make a game like Dokkan mostly single player, but you still want a way for your player base to interact with each other, that's a very fun way to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like...
Now, basically, so we've gone over like the points. Now the next one is PvP. Now, unlike what I was planning to do, I'm gonna take the lead of this one. Basically, PvP can be done in a few ways. The issue with PvP is not that it's in a gacha. Well, I mean it is, but like PvP enables the ability for money to be worth more than actual skill. Now that doesn't always have to be the case. For example, in Dragon Ball Legends, you can run Hero Hercule and like murk people with him.
Yeah, and there are people with full 14-star Max Senkai teams losing to teams without skill.
Yeah, so honestly, but here is the issue with it. If two people of equal skill level were to play, and one tried to cheese with Hero Hercule and the other had like full Senkai, 14-star everything, I'm pretty sure the Senkai guy would win. But as always, it's that legend system is fine, right? It's not that big of a deal. I have yet to see a case where somebody actually skilled lost and said it's purely because he had a few stats higher than me and no other reason. I have yet to properly see that. However, you have gacha games where you play PvP, where it's like Matt said earlier with the Sword Art Online thing, or you have like gachas who do it in a more friendly way where it's purely auto battles, like Princess Connect. PvP is nothing but they enemy team versus your enemy team, and the AI is controlling both of them, and see how it goes. That's also a fun way, though it can get quite boring, and since there is a ginormous lack of skill in that, we simply just kind of get to the point where it becomes a drag, and you're kind of questioning why you're even doing it at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. So one of my biggest issues with PvP, now, I feel like Legends does PvP great, but here's the issue that PvP becomes the endgame focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm personally more of a PvE person, so that's a problem for me. But if you enjoy PvP, by all means. But there are also people who cheat PvP, try and lag spike and just ruin it for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
The devs need to take care of people like that immediately, or at least to the best of their ability, make it balanced. Like I know when it comes to Legends, hybrid Saiyans has been a problem. I don't know how this recent banner affected that, but I still hybrid Saiyans was an issue.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it still is.
And well, lovely.
There's always teams that are issues. There's always super busted units. One of the main issues with it was like, why would I summon for a new unit if a week later they could just bring out Zenkai Android 18, then I can just do 7 multis on that and literally clap every Saiyan on the field, or every hybrid Saiyan on the field. or say in general.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, balancing is a big deal when it comes to PvP, and if the company can't do it right, it fucks with everything. Now, my thing when it comes to turn-based PvP is you have RNG issues. Like when it comes to... Fuck, I had something in mind. I don't remember if Grand Cross has RNG issues when it comes to PvP, but...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember a specific example,
The issue with Grand Cross is less to do with dupes and has more to do with... There is certain meta teams, and if you don't own one of them, you're basically fucked. Like, when the whole thing with, like, stalling Goddess Elizabeth came out, if you basically didn't join the meta, you were basically fucked.
Yeah, there's that, but I know Purgatory Bond is also another big issue.
Yeah, but like I think it's by the time Purgatory Bond came out, you know, teams it wasn't like one team or die, you know. While the issue was around the time with Elizabeth, it was like every meta unit that basically came out either wasn't properly countering her or you just put it on her team, and it was like, oh. At least from what I'm understanding, that's what I have been told by people who I asked about that issue when it came out. Now, once again, those people were not whales, and they were not the top of PvP. So my statements on this could be extremely incorrect. So before somebody starts spamming Z-Hall on Twitter to fucking roast me, calm your tits. Thank you.
Yeah, Z-Hall, I don't care.
Oh yeah, you can roast Mike. That's fine. I mean Matt. Mike too, but that's a different conversation.
But just bottom line, I don't know enough about Grand Cross to really comment on that. I'm just speaking about RNG issues in PvP in general, balancing in general, because I know Bond is an issue.
I
know that.
Maybe I should
Devs
sell my
need
account.
to learn how to balance. It's that simple.
Maybe I should sell my account with Bond and like Demon Meliodas and just be like, damn, look, give me like $500 and then look like you're crazy, and I'm like, fuck. Maybe a YouTuber will buy it from me for $5. Oh, that would be funny.
But yeah, like those are my big issues when it comes to PvP. PvP as a whole doesn't kill games, even though I've made that statement in the past, but that's just such a broad statement. It's how the devs handle it and incorporate it into their game. That is a very, very gray line for me. PvP endgame, I don't enjoy at all. So I automatically have a negative taste for PvP in general.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They don't make challenging enough PvE content.
There it is. So basically our thing on PvP is it can be done right, but like it can also very easily be done wrong. And then in cases like Legends, where PvP was basically the main end game, you really had to make sure it had to be done right, because PvP was one of the core reasons people could basically start screaming that Legends was dead or Legends was alive.
Yeah.
Now, onto we have 3 more points left. The middle one of those 3 might take a while, but the first one I think is quite easy. Meta and free-to-play. Now, I'm just gonna make out and just summarize this real quick with a really easy way. If you have PvP, make sure you have multiple metas that are at all time viable by buffing each meta a bit at a time or creating new metas in between. Don't buff one meta like 10 times in a row and make the other one completely inviable compared to it, unless it is because that meta is extremely far behind because you did the thing already by the other 3 and it's now catching up. Make sure that not one strategy is just extremely dominant. Alright? Please, for the love of everything, make sure that there is a balanced way to go about each challenge. For example, once again, in World Flipper, you have power flip, you have skill damage, you have a bunch of stuff that you can all use. That's what you gotta. That's basically it. I think I put it across decently well. Anything to add on to that?
PvP itself, no, but when it comes to PvE stuff, you gotta be careful to not balance content around one single unit. I'm looking at Jaldo and fucking Leonidas for Dragalia. That is horrible. The one time I actually want a Legend CL pop mechanic is with Legend Jaldo, because that would get rid of his AoE entirely.
I disagree entirely, but it's purely because I had only Leonidas, but that's the only reason I disagree.
Okay. I own him too, but I see the issue. No, I own him too, but I understand the issue.
Yeah, that's the only reason I like disagree because I only unite is and I am bad. So well, I'm not bad, but I haven't invested in units in quite a while. The last unit I invested in was like Summer Veronica.
Yeah. Yes.
God.
But yeah, no, like building content around a specific unit mostly is a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
So just be careful you're not doing that. And yeah, for free to play units, if you balance it around a free to play unit, I think that's more acceptable.
Yeah, and
than obviously a limited unit or certain general units.
Our next topic is free to play units. Now, I think the game that does free to play units, yes, thank you. The game that does free to play units the best out of all, which I have been told that there's a game that does it better according to Neo, and Neo 99.9. Yeah, okay, this man is almost always spitting facts, so I'm just gonna, you know.
I can actually back him up on that too, because I played that game for a little bit, and I know someone who plays that game religiously besides Neo, and that game does do free to play units and content as a whole very, very well.
Well, okay, but like for the games that I have played, Dokkan is the best game when it comes to being free to play friendly. Now I know a lot of people are gonna be like, but it doesn't have a pity system. No, it has something better. It has free to play units out the hazoo.
That was my point, not everyone else. I spat a hot take.
But yeah, free to play units, and I've always said this. Dokkan to me is the golden standard for almost all gachas. If you do stuff worse than Dokkan, then you better compensate it with something else. Have a damn good reason for it. Like I said, you don't need a lot of the pity stuff if you have like a 50% SSR rate and like a 50% chance for it to be featured. Yeah, okay, I got that. But so basically that. How it works is they give out free-to-play units during like every single game mode that they put out has free-to-play units almost. You know, they have EZA areas where you can power up old free-to-play units or new ones. You can get them from story events. You can get them from what should we call it? Hell, Dokkan events if you want. There's so many ways to get free-to-play units. You can get them from Battlefield. You can get them from the Baba Shop in general with gems. There is just so many ways to get free-to-play units, and most of that, and especially the most ones of the recent years are, you know, they rock, dude. They're so good, especially when they start ECAing older ones, you know, very good. For people who don't know what ECAing is, you basically beat an event, you gave them materials, and then they get a boost, and they start to become way better.
It is pretty much a unit revival system, as I call them, where it takes an old dead unit and it makes and you pump stats into them or whatever, and it makes them relevant.
Exactly, there's so many. There's even legendary rare free-to-play units, and one of the best and contender for the best free-to-play legendary rare unit at the moment, legendary rare Seiya Goku, is a unit you are literally getting by playing the game when first booting it up, because it's the tutorial story. What the fuck? Well, you get the medals from another story event, but Dokkan story events are kind of built for people who have like played the game for like a day to be able to beat with their eyes closed. So, you'll be fine on that. Trust me on that, lads. You'll be fine. Oh, good BGM. But yeah, so if you have a game and you make it as free-to-play friendly as OPTC, One Piece Treasure Hunt, or Dokkan, I'm happy with it. Ironically, one of the games that recently shut down does free-to-play units better than most gachas I know, including Dragalia, Grand Cross.
Yeah, like Star Smash, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's Star Smash Grand Cross. So Grand Cross can be debatable because I haven't touched it in a while, so I don't mind to fully remember it. But what other games? Masters, Legends, a bunch of other games. Because like Star Smash, just every event gave you like a free-to-play unit. Of course, you could just grind the max amount, and because of the way that farming worked in that game, you actually almost wanted to run like free-to-play units almost fully.
Right, yeah, it was more similar to like early day Blazing, of where you got more drops from the luck stat, which was all from dupes. So
yep.
So when farming, it was like yeah, just run a max luck unit and you're fine.
Exactly. So that, and so yeah, once again, if you can be like Dokkan or OPTC with free-to-play units, I am happy. I will play your gacha game. Just trust me. How you can make a you can make a I don't know like a Jujutsu Kaisen gacha like that, and I'll start watching Jujutsu Kaisen. You get Demon Slayer 1. I'll start continuing Demon Slayer because I stopped after season 1 because I couldn't manage to see the movie, and then season 2 happens after the movie, which I was like, so okay, so I can't start season 2 before I see the movie. But I'll yeah, pain in my ass. But basically what I'm saying is that the free-to-play units can truly make a game because they counteract so many negative points. If you make free-to-play units very useful part of the meta, then it makes PvP more viable. Sure, you might not get to the top, but let's be honest, and most of us wouldn't get to top PvP no matter what. We would get as high as we need to for max rewards, or like max global rewards, and we're good. Multiplayer, with good free-to-play units, just bring a free-to-play unit and you'll be fine. Summoning might be whack, but hey, if I can grind the new free-to-play LR Super Saiyan God Goku, I'm happy that I didn't pull the new LR Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta. I don't know, maybe the Broly movie or some shit. I don't know, they should do that in Dokkan as well, by the way. Please take notes from Legends. It would help with meta as well. Honestly, free-to-play units are an amazing thing for gachas, and they should really be used more often. It hurts my heart so much to see that games like Dragalia underuse their free-to-play units so much, dude. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are actually really good. Like, the most recent one, Harl, you can use him. He's actually very, very good for Iblis because he has Demon's Bane, so he literally gets a free damage modifier.
Yeah. But it just... Dragalia free-to-play units are so far and few between that when they release a few that are like dog shit, it hits even worse because, you have to wait much longer to get a new one.
Right. Yeah, they don't do enough in my opinion. I do agree.
Definitely.
Especially since they stopped doing the story ones, which that I don't get. They just stopped that.
Yeah, really weird. Maybe because not enough people started joining him on that journey anymore. But yeah, if Dragalia started popping off like a free-to-play unit every single event, I would be big happy face. But they kind of worked themselves into a corner with limited elements and weapons. So if they started doing that, they would probably overload the box, which sounds weird to say, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like as compensation for that, they made every free unit max mana circle for free. They also give a facility. They also give extra honey. So there is some kind of balance to it. But if you're just looking for a free-to-play unit standpoint, it's like, yeah, they don't give enough.
Mm-hmm. Now, as for the next topic, we're going to put some of our personal experiences out there for what made or broke a gacha for us on a personally. Once again, this is 100% our personal experience. If it doesn't make sense, it's our personal experience. We're not asking you to agree with it. We're not going to say that our logic is 100% soundproof for everybody. But it's just something fun we can discuss. And after that, we're going to start talking about the importance of devs communications and the importance of a launch of either a new mode, new difficulty, new thing, or the gacha in itself. So, Matt,
This is where the pitchforks come my way.
Oh, trust me, the pitchforks are gonna be coming our way no matter what. All we need is enough people to watch this to the point where they start grabbing them. Now, how about we start with the good one, and then we start with the bad one, and then we can move over to devs to avoid the pitchforks. So, Matt, what made a gacha for you? One gacha. Which gacha was just made?
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna start with the... Okay, so obviously one of the things that got me into Masters Slime was the IP. That is like the quickest way to draw me into it. It's like, okay, I'm interested in this. The next quickest way is the company who's behind it. And this goes both ways, make or break. If I look into a company and I see their other products and I see good things about them, like, okay, yeah, I am interested in this. Now, if the game has something that I can sink my brain into, you will have me for quite a while.
Yeah.
If I need to think about how now going back to the story thing for a little bit. I'm a lore junkie. If you got some lore, I'm in. if you got in-depth team building, strategy, whatever, I'm mostly in.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest factor for me to make or break a game is the dev team.
Right.
That's like the absolute biggest thing for me.
Alright, as for me, what has made a gacha for me? Well, I think my most recent example, obviously me being able to play with friends. Regalia would have not stuck around for me as long as it did before I got my major burnout if it wasn't for me being able to play it with friends and the
dragons! Who doesn't want to turn into a dragon? Like, that's so fucking cool as a concept.
Oh, I found it quite a mid-concept. I just like playing with y'all. It's simple as...
You're right, yeah, but as like a 17, 18-year-old guy, I was like, oh, fuck, I could turn into a dragon. That's so cool. Yeah, I was 18 when that came out.
Parents stare in disappointment.
But no, like, yeah, I love that concept. I was like, shit.
But like, next up, you can obviously be a popular IP that I like. That's also another way to get me in. Like, My Hero Academia, The Strongest Hero. If it wasn't a My Hero game, I would have already uninstalled it. I should uninstall it. It's fucking garbage of a game, but nonetheless, Mega Man X Dive, for example, I really like. But like, oh my god. Oh yeah. Spoilers, I'm going to say break, but like, don't have your fucking developers ask in the public Discord for people their IP addresses. Because Mega Man X Dive global developer, Mega Man X Dive's global developers, a lot of people were having issues getting into the game. So what did the official developer, head of the Discord do? At everyone, if you have issues with getting into the game, DM me your IP addresses.
That's dumb as hell.
He is dumb as hell, but nonetheless,
What?
yeah. Why do you think I never installed Global? It was a fucking shipwreck to begin with.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't like that game because I didn't like the gameplay, but what?
Yeah. Yep. It's a thing. But basically, make a World Flipper made it for me. World Flipper was fun for me. I had to get through a very rough patch where I had to build up my first 2 teams. But the moment I started to figure out how team building worked with metas, like Power Flip and all that, I was sold, dude. Team building in World Flipper is so much fun, dude. You don't understand, man. Like, Power Flips are just so satisfying for the damage, and skill teams are so much fun for the autoing, dude. It's too much fun, man. I'm telling you. That
is me with Granbull as well. I had to figure out how grids worked. When I did, it just sucked my brain, and I'm like, I can have so much fun with this.
But basically, for me, it's just as simple as like, just have a good good summoning system. You know, have a fun IP address, or allow me to have fun with my friends, or that kind of stuff, you know? Now, next up, break. Now, I know 3 gachas that broke with me, and I'm gonna say mine first, so that, you know, I can start running away, and then you can go into yours. The first one, Global Grand Cross, which is also the reason I quit JP, because it burned me out on it. If I never played Global Grand Cross to this day, I would still be grinding the hell out of JP. It's all Global's fault. Now, Global Grand Cross was garbage on launch. The developers were idiotic as hell. A lot of false advertisement, a lot of doing stuff in wrong orders, giant lack of communication. It was just a shell of the JP version. It was complete another garbage, and don't let people tell you otherwise. Grand Cross Global launch was trash, and it was the core reason I stopped playing it, because they were like, oh, Bond is not going to be limited to this banner. Is not going to be limited to this banner, actually. And we were like, oh shit, they're going to put this Bond in. Oh no. It was I'm pretty sure they forgot to say that they were gonna put Bond in the coin shop, right? Or the other way around. Yeah. I don't know. It was something along those lines. They forgot to say one of those things, and people didn't action because of it. And they kept fucking it up, and they kept like doing stuff like, oh look, Merlin is coming, and putting a silhouette of the wrong Merlin, making us all think it was blue, and then she came out as green, and we're like, bruh.
Yeah. So I was straight in Canada when that happened. I was watching all that in real time. I was so bored.
Yeah, and
Don't
that
worry about
was
the details.
yeah, that was really really annoying. And they kept fucking up, and they kept fucking up, and they kept fucking up, and we got to the point where I was just kind of like, bah, I am done with it.
Yeah.
So, Grand Cross Global was the first gacha game I ever uninstalled. I had not uninstalled any gacha before that. Now, next up, we have Pokemon Masters. Now, Pokemon Masters is, to this day, I think, it's better now, but for like 90% of its life cycle, to me, it's always been big fucking dog shit. Basically...
Somebody still plays the game to this day, yes.
It started out great. The Blue Banner came out. It got a lot of revenue. We were all excited about the new gameplay and the new mechanics. It was so much fun. And you want to know how the income went ever since the Blue Banner? Fucking straight down. There wasn't a single banner that ever even came close to how much money Blue made, or any banner for that matter that made more money than its previous two banners. Was just straight up down, 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 down.
You know what the biggest issue was that around that time, they announced a rock training event, whereas it was their first event.
Wait. Janari, we're recording a video right now, so bye. Anyway.
Yeah. So they announced an event, and they announced that the event was live a whole day before. So they just completely fucked that up. Banner-wise, yeah, they started
Okay,
with
but
Blue.
no one gives a shit about the fucking up the news a bit. That didn't ruin the game. What ruined it most...
I did. It set a very poor example.
I don't really care that much. I mean, they were starting out, they could fuck up. But basically...
it set a very bad example, and that example continued true because they kept doing fuck up after fuck up after fuck up for 2 months.
Yeah, but the thing is...
And that's when the revenue dropped, because a lot of people left.
Yeah, but the thing is that... No, well, I mean, that too, but it was just kind of a mid-game to begin with. So the issue was that... And the dev was, like, fucking tone-deaf and couldn't do shit and was really, really dumb. Basically, what it all ended up coming down to was that they had to end up removing the developer. They probably just straight up fired them, but you know, company cannot say we fired our our head producer. I mean, we can't just say that. So they didn't mention it too much. Oh, it was like, oh hey, we're gonna hire 2 new producers. What happened to the old one? Anyway, 2 new producers. And we're like, now here is the funniest part about this. Those 2 new producers were also dog shit, but they were average. They were not good. They were average. The thing is, when the previous producer is garbage and he fucks everything up, even an average person looks like a great producer. Until we found out that, okay, well, you guys have now reached the standard of what this game should probably be. Now, how are we gonna improve? Hello? Is anybody home? Nope.
See, okay, here's the issue with that. When they shuffled everything around, they literally got a smaller dev team. So, and what they did better was that they actually communicated what they were doing, which was a step in the right direction. Now, this dev team is so small that you can either improve the game or make new content. What happened is that they were trying to split down the middle for that little bit, and that didn't work. So that's where that radio silence came in, is that they were trying to appease both, and that didn't work. So I always give them credit for trying with what they have, but it is not good enough.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my point. They were average, which was fine, but like, the thing was that people were overly hyped, which you cannot blame them because they looked like they were amazing producers. We got a literal path of what they're gonna do each month for like half a year in advance. We got like open communication, they answered questions, they, you know, made regular updates, and we were like, oh my god, it's so exciting, and then it just stopped.
People don't realize how close the game was to actually dying.
I mean, I don't really care about that point. If it died, then they're gonna move on to the next one. My main thing is that like people were overhyping. Once again, not their wrong. How good these new producers were, because they actually.
I always said that they're better. I never said that they were the greatest devs.
Yeah, exactly.
I just said that they're doing better.
I mean, we had all right to say that they were some of the best devs ever because the way they acted during those first 3 months were the best devs in my opinion ever. I have never seen a gacha dev even for 2 months in advance, let alone half a year, say this and this and this and this and this is gonna happen per month. That's insane communication, which at that point, man, you can make the game crack all you want, or like bad all you want, or like make fuck ups. But if you've told us beforehand that the wrongs are gonna happen, then we can at least communicate it with you. And if you're gonna ignore it, that's fine, but at least we know what's coming then.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
they did better, and they tried, but they're just working with what they have. We're still getting content to this day. I feel like the game is in a better state with more free pairs, more coins for free dupes, and we just got a difficulty update like literally today as well. We're getting a new game mode in January. Like, they're still doing stuff, but it's just at a slower pace because of what they have to work with.
It's just that Master has become kind of obscure. One of those side gotchas like Princess Connect, you know?
That is what it will always be, because that's what it will always be. If you're trying to main the game, don't. And that's what I tell everyone.
Yeah, I know, but the issue with it is it's a Pokemon IP. The fact that it is like something on the same like popularity level as like Princess Connect is shocking to say the least. And in my opinion, a huge wasted time. And in my opinion, a big portion of wasted potential. I feel like it could have been a lot better.
I agree. I do agree with that. Like it pains me that the game is so easy to fix, but they just don't do it. But I understand why they can't do it, and it really, really frustrates me at times. Like, I get that. Like, I get it. I get the people's complaints. I get why they can't do it, and it just tears me down the middle.
Yeah. And then we have the final one, which is just all of Genshin, honestly. I get why people like it, and the gameplay is fun and all that, but, you know,
oh my God.
I have better things to do with my life than play the literal reincarnation of Virgin Bait. Which, well, into their props, they finally listened to most of their, you know, straight female fans, and were like, you know, we want some husbandos as well, and they were like, oh, you know, how about no? And after a lot of, you know, screaming from a lot of the female fans that I know, at least, once again, personal experience, a lot of them were like, yo, we're not getting any male characters, bro. Why are all the male characters out? They just keep putting, like, women who pull, like, bazookas out of their thighs in the game so that, Virgin Bait, and it's like, I mean, that's how gachas work. But they have recently been putting in some more men, so you know what, good for them. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, it's just horny bait for money. And that's just mostly what it is. Or cute bait, which I can respect a lot more. Cute bait is completely fine by me, because I think if stuff is adorable, whether it's like small characters or pets, like cats or dogs or something or whatever, cute bait I'm all fine with. But just the fact that half of the cast at least is like horny bait is just like, I'm good. The gameplay is not that insanely fun to me. You know, it's like, it's doable, but I can spend my, like, I have booted it up again every once in a while, you know, when people were like talking about it and playing it in PC, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll play it a bit, I guess. Not with you guys, because, you know, no, but like,
yeah, it's fun with the right audience and with the right characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, and also, like, with how stingy they are with summon currency, dude. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
like,
that I don't understand, because their pity system is actually pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah, and then you have the worst thing, which was the entirety of the 1 year anniversary, which all I did during that was laugh at people with no standards who only play Genshin and no other gacha, being like, you should be happy that we're getting anything at all. And I'm like, oh, great. You're one of those people with... I'm sorry, but if you say that, I'm sorry to tell you this, right? You're new to gachas, you don't understand how gachas work, you've only played Genshin. I'm sorry to tell you this, but that's called having no standards. That's called literally getting slapped in the face with a saying like, I want food, getting smacked in the face full force with a cookie, and being like, well, at least I got something, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't
No, I was
do that.
imagining just a fucking cookie shot at someone's face.
That's like walking past a homeless person and throwing like 3 breadcrumbs at him and being like, be grateful you got something. Like, don't do that. Don't make yourself look like that. Like, I get it. You have been fed this information by YouTube channels that you watch that, well, free-to-play players don't put anything into the game financially, so, they should be grateful that they're getting anything at all. That's what they feed you to think so that you will never have standards. But trust me, as someone who plays a lot of gachas, that's not how even free-to-plays are being treated, my friend. Not at all. But, it's fine. Keep enjoying the game, that's fine. But please don't ever say dumb shit like, well, you should be grateful you got anything. Please don't. I beg. Please stop. I beg. You need to have some standards for yourself, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna hide from the pitchforks. Matt Potoff.
Right, yeah, so I feel like my stance a little bit higher, but what breaks a game for me is really the devs. Like, I'm literally going to name drop some dev companies, like, I don't care. Netmarble, Bandai, MiHoYo, and Nexon. If I see any games published by any of you, I will avoid you like the plague.
Yes, I mean, Bandai, okay, fair enough. I thought you were gonna say Dims, but Bandai, yes.
Bandai as a whole, like if I see Bandai's name on a product, I will avoid it.
Hey, Dokkan is not that bad.
I have not played that game in years for a reason. It does not
exactly.
Like, it doesn't appeal to me at all. Still, that it's never is going to appeal to me because of the base model.
I would like to call Major Cap. I think it's just a lot of like, what do you call it? Hate from way back then that hasn't been like receded, that doesn't make you want to come back to the game. But I'm not here to play your therapist, so pop off, King.
No, like, yeah, it very well might be hate, and just the overall player base
which
as a
is
whole,
completely valid, by the way, because I'm the exact same with Grand Cross.
Yeah, just it doesn't appeal to me anymore. I had fun with it back in the day because I enjoyed Dragon Ball, but when I started drifting away from Dragon Ball, I'm like, I don't enjoy this, so I just don't care. But no, a good example of Bandai fucking up their products, Slime. Very recent example. Fuck them.
Exactly.
Just no. If I see Bandai running a product, I don't care.
Exactly.
Just, I do not care. And if I'm correct, Tales of Cristoria is going through some shit as well, which is only a little overdue.
The fuck is Tales of Cristoria?
What?
I've never heard of that in my life.
And example number 1. But yeah, like,
okay.
Bandai just does not do a good job with their shit.
Yeah. So we've had the good, we have the makes, we had the breaks. We pulled off our breaks to announce the breaks, and now we're going back to. Now we've already touched on devs. I don't think we need to talk anymore on devs. Launch. I think the only thing I still have left to say on launches is that don't be like Mega Man X Live Global. Don't make your developers ask people who they don't know if they're even a minor or not for their IP address in the public Discord, please, and then proceed to blame the people that don't want to give their IP address because those people are apparently uneducated and don't know that how little people can actually do with your IP address. Don't do that. First of all, please pick them carefully. Second of all, launch having a good social media manager is a godsend. There is nothing that riles, and this is specifically talking about gacha games with IPs that are gonna pick already existing IPs. With unique IPs, this doesn't really matter too much since it needs a lot less work to have to get to do that right. Because a lot less interaction exposure in the beginning. But if you're doing like another Dragon Ball game, Naruto, One Piece, I don't know, Demon Slayer, whatever you wanna, Bleach, I don't know, My Hero Academia, Sakamoto Desuga, I don't know what kind of gacha you're doing, but if it's an already existing IP, get somebody to manage your social medias that is actually good at it and isn't just coming up to you because you're an old man who doesn't understand what social media is and makes you buy some sweet talk from them and then they get money. Because somebody on social media that actually interacts with their fan base, with the fan base on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, is great. Dokkan Global has recently got a new producer, a woman named, I don't remember what her name is, but she has like changed the game. We now get amazing videos announcing new units. We actually get videos of her as well saying how excited she is about new units coming to Global Dokkan. Way better communications, way more news posts about them. Seeing them, even if it's fake, I don't care, but seeing them excited on the screen to bring us the new units is just joy. Joy to the max. Get stuff like that. Just communicate with your fan base, especially pre-launch, because trust me, it will get you a lot in the end. Let's see what's up next on launch. Don't fuck up like Global Grand Cross. Make sure that the triple check all your assets, especially any text on any image or content that promises something. Because if you're gonna start out promising stuff and it turns out to be fake or wrong information, it's not gonna go well. That's a snowball you do not want to start rolling down the mountain. Trust me on that.
Yeah, like, and another example is, I say this in a negative connotation a lot today, but Slime, like, they had such a garbage launch.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, and they're doing fine on money because people just give them money because it's a Slime IP. So, if it's a big IP, the game is probably gonna live because people don't give a shit.
Yeah, basically.
Unless if you pull a Blazing later down the line, but that's another story.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically that for that, and yeah, just make sure your stuff goes well. You have an open communication and try to be fair towards your players. Trust me, we, at least the mature side of the player base, knows and understands how gachas work. We won't ask unrealistic expectations from you, right? Like, but just try to be a little bit fair towards the player base as well. Right, because that's honestly at the end of the day, that's the best part. I cannot say to you with confidence at all that the player base is the reason the game is still alive, because 90% of the income comes from like 10% of the players. In Dokkan Battle, 70% of Dokkan Battle's income comes from the JP side alone. Yes, people were trying to be all like, well, they can't just ban so many global players because, you know, they'll lose income. Global players think they have way more influence on the games than they do, especially the ones with the big mouth who have never spent a dime on the game or have only spent like a little bit on the game. Trust me, insignificant compared to them. But trying to appease that side as well by content that happens to be doable by free-to-play players is always a good choice. Anything to add on to that?
An example of a good launch recently, and I wish this game did better, because it had such a great launch, is actually Alchemy Stars.
Ooh.
Like, I enjoyed that game. It was fun, but once again, when we go back to the concept about attracting someone into the game, and this is an issue with me in general in recent time, like, games just can't hold my interest. And that was the issue with Alchemy Stars. It did great at the start. It just could not hold my interest over an extended period of time.
Exactly, I feel you on
like,
that.
Otherwise, the launch was great.
Mm-hmm.
Good launches do exist, but this is the year of just shitty launches, apparently. Like, oh my god, MHA had a garbage launch, and for some reason they're still alive.
The strongest hero does not deserve to be alive after all the stuff that they have done. But that if we start going into that bucket, we're gonna need another 2 hours. So
yeah, but yeah, good launches can happen. It's just all the ones that have happened recently haven't, and people are making that the standard now.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the end of the video.
Oh god, how long is this file?
2 hours and 15 minutes plus.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, have fun with that.
Oh, come on. When do I record with either you or Mike and it doesn't end up becoming like 5 million hours?
I just wasn't expecting that long. Fuck.
Exactly. But for those who made it to the end, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, but like, thank you all for joining in. I really appreciate it. For those who actually treated this like a podcast and, watched it in increments, and for those who binge watched it all the way to the end, please just tell me in the comments that you watched it till the end. Not because I want to know. I can see it in the analytics, so don't worry, it's not that. I just am amazed that you people exist in a positive way, like happily surprised. So I would like to hear from that. Most of all, of course, make sure to check out Matt's Twitch as well as YouTube. Do you still do YouTube? Do you still consider yourself doing YouTube, or?
No, I don't do YouTube. I don't stream all that often anymore, but every now and then when I get the itch to, I try, but yeah.
Now, make sure to check out Matt's Twitch channel in the description down below. Also, of course, my social medias, my Twitter. We have a Discord link in the description down below, as well as a link to my Twitch channel where we have fun. In my Discord server, I'm active basically every single day. Feel free to come and hang out. We sometimes watch stuff in Chill VC. We sometimes play Among Us. That's a complete lie. We never play Among Us because every time I try to get to play Among Us, no one is available.
Yeah,
but, hey!
I just exist in the void.
You can change that. Ha ha ha. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Matt always exists in the void. I'm just happy that, you know what, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just happy I got to talk to you for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's been way too long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe. And if you guys did like this, please sure to drop a like. If you have any opinions or responses to our opinions, feel free to drop them down below. We're not really snowflakes, so you can kind of go ham if you really want, but it will be a lot more fun if you kept it civil, because then we could, have a fun little talk, and maybe a new friendship can be born out of it instead of like,
Yeah, and future topics as well, because if this is something you guys want to see more often, let us know what you want us to talk about.
Thank you. I totally forgot that. Thanks, man. Yeah, if you guys have any other topics that you want us to talk about, like today we talked about Gacha because we're knowledgeable on it. We can do other stuff. Like I can invite people for Dragon Ball games. We can do an entire topic on Pokemon, and I can invite both Matt and Mike, and they can talk about maybe their VGC experience. Will be really cool. I can study. Yes.
You want a horror story? Okay.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if that's like allowed on YouTube anymore, but yes. Your video is banned to graphic content.
Oh god.
Yes. But yeah, so like that kind of stuff. Any other topics? Or any add-ons to this. If there's any part of the videos that you like, just feel free. Because comments and liking also help with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribing doesn't, but it would help with my mood.
Yeah.
Help me. But yeah, so that. Well, I hope to see you guys later, and once again, anybody who made it to this point, thank you so much. I cannot believe that there's actually people out there who are willing to watch 2 hours and 20 minutes of me and Matt just chatting shit about bad gacha games and giving compliments here and there. Alright, I want to thank everybody for joining in today, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.